Texas State starts its season 1-0 with a dominant win over Eastern Michigan. But this week, it's not going to be that easy. Welcome back to Wizard Wednesday. I'm your host, Zach. This past weekend was fun. Texas State ran the ball. They threw the ball when they needed to. Brad looked pretty decent. Wasn't a lot of vertically driven passing yards. But that's okay. I think that'll come with time. I think Brad did a really good job of taking what was in front of him and not pressing the issue. I think our last key from last week was keeping everything in front of the defense. I think they did an okay job of that, especially in the second half. There were some tackling issues in the first half. That comes when you only tackle. You're only allowed to tackle, I believe, 2 or 3 times during fall camp. G.J. Kinney alluded to that. I think that is probably an issue across college football that you're going to see early on. We definitely saw that last year against Lamar as well. I think that'll clean itself up. Not worried about that at all. So overall, great weekend, great environment, stadium improvements. There's really not a lot to complain about from last weekend. But I think this next weekend is going to be quite a bit more difficult. UTSA is much better on paper than Eastern Michigan, and they present some unique challenges. So let's go ahead, let's jump right into the 3 keys to beating UTSA and going 2-0 on the season. All right, key number 1, it was in the thumbnail. We have to contain Robert Henry Jr., the running back for UTSA. This man had himself a game against Texas A&M last weekend. 177 yards on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns, including a 75-yarder at the beginning of the second half. From what I saw, and I watched the game a couple different times, he's shifty. He's a one-cut guy. He's very patient, which is scary. A guy that allows the play to develop in front of him and then takes one cut and he's gone. And once he's in open space, once he hits the open field, good luck. Good luck. The Texas A&M safeties weren't hitting him in open field. He was running right past him. I don't like a scenario in which he makes it to the 3rd level. I'll just say that. If we're going to stop this guy, we have to stop him in the 1st and 2nd level. The other part of this, the UTSA running game that I found really interesting, it's a little old school, you don't see it a lot in college football nowadays, is that they're running from under center. So the quarterback's getting underneath the center, not from shotgun. That makes it to where the running back can run downhill, which, that affects it a little bit. But really what that does is if you get gassed for a couple big runs from Robert Henry Jr., now UTSA can turn around and run play action off of that, which is scary. You get everyone moving one way downhill trying to stop Henry Jr., and then you do a play action boot off of that. You got a wide receiver that's gotten past the secondary. That's not good. So the key number 1 is containing Robert Henry Jr., but not being overly aggressive. The 75-yarder that he popped off against Texas A&M, part of that was an over-aggressive linebacker that shot the gap a little too early, and Robert Henry was able to do a quick one cut, hit the open lane, and he was gone. So there is a little bit of, you have to kind of play contain with this guy. You can't be overly aggressive. I wouldn't say you want to try to be aggressive and hit him in the backfield a ton. That's not the game you want to play with him. He's going to make you pay. The other piece of this is being really, really sound defensively. You have to be making sure that you're not being over aggressive in trying to stop the run with your safeties, with the linebackers. That's hard to do. That's what you want, is you want them to be aggressive and stop this guy and make OM account beat you. And there's some truth to that, but we can't be beat by play action passes from under center. It's much easier to conceal the ball when you're taking a drop back under center, which is why play action is so scary. It reminds me of those old Kubiak offenses when he was with the Texans and the Broncos. They don't do that all the time. I wouldn't say that they showed that as their bread and butter against Texas A&M, but they did it a few times and they made Texas A&M pay. It's a new wrinkle. That's an old wrinkle. So key number 1, that my long-winded way of saying that is, you got to contain Robert Henry Jr. if Texas State is going to win this game. Key number 2, we're going to talk about the pass game again for Texas State. specifically what I think Brad and the offensive coordinator, Landon Keppel, GJ Kinney, what they need to be aware of, what they need to make sure that Brad is ready for. So the difference in Eastern Michigan and UTSA defensively, Eastern Michigan had they played a ton of cover one man. So all of those under routes where Bo Sparks is getting open, they were kind of using another receiver to knock it's like basically what you call rub routes, to knock two defenders into each other. Bo runs right underneath. He was wide open all day. It was beautiful. It worked over and over and over again. They scored on a slant and a drag, everything kind of in breaking routes, very short. That works. It may continue to work. The difference is UTSA plays a too high shell. So they have two safeties over top. And they play, from what I could see, again, untrained mind here, I'm making educated guesses. They play a lot of quarters coverage and palms coverage, which is a little bit more of a complicated coverage than one high man, right? So there's zones underneath that can change. If you're playing quarters and palms, you can actually play quarters on one side of the field and palms on the other side of the field. Quarters has a man element to it where they outside that cornerback DB is going to cover the outside receiver one-on-one, while palms is very similar, but both guys over top, the safety and the cornerback, sometimes linebackers are in there to kind of make a triangle of defense, but they're all keying off of the second guy. So not the most outside receiver, but the guy inside of that outside receiver, depending on where he cuts, is the way that they play the defense. So it's much more complex than looking up, seeing one high, and then you have man all over the place. And know that they're going to try to stop the run, which is what Eastern Michigan did. Load the box, play man, one high safety to help. Relatively simple. UTSA defense is not simple. Now, we saw Jordan McLeod carve them up last year, but I think part of that is Jordan McLeod was on his 7th year of playing football in college. He had a lot of experience. He'd seen a lot. This is not the first time he'd seen that. So it's very important that as UTSA plays those more complicated coverages, they're also going to disguise things as well. They may give you a cover 0 look in which everyone's at the line of scrimmage, looks like there's no one over top, and then drop people into those throwing lanes, specifically on Bo's side. I would expect quite a few disguises where they are trying to bait Brad into thinking that slant or that under route is open, and then dropping a guy from the line of scrimmage, probably a linebacker, into that throwing lane at the last moment for a pick. So I think that's going to be something that they try to do. So we need to be aware of that. We have to take what the defense gives us, and we certainly don't want to rely on something because it was successful this week. I mean, if it's there, take it for sure, but understand that there's a lot of tape out there of those under routes and how deadly they were. I'd imagine that is going to be a situation where they're trying to bait Brad into doing something wrong. The other part of the passing game that I want to address is the vertical passing downfield. There wasn't a ton of that. Brad did have a really good corner route to Bo. It was like 30 yards down the field, perfectly placed, kind of back shoulder. I don't want to see Brad pass or this offense call vertical shots for the sake of calling vertical shots. That's not what we want. We don't want to do it just because we can do it or to prove we do it. We need to make sure that if we're going to have those plays, which are quite a bit more risky, you're throwing it deeper down the field. It's a lower percentage play than those dink and dunk unders that we did quite a bit. We don't want to do those just to do them. It needs to be open. We need to take our shots if they're there, but if they're going to close that off, don't put the ball in harm's way. Continue to dink and dunk down the field. Win that way. All right. So the third key is it's different. It's something that I've seen, that I've heard, something that we saw in the Texas A&M game. We're going to go back to defense for this one. And that's that the defense, the Texas State defense, needs to be ready to play 4 downs. UTSA has a kicking problem. Their kicker left in the transfer portal very late. They are the current kicker that they have missed a kick at Texas A&M. I don't think that they feel comfortable with him fully, which means with the pressure of this game, with how aggressive GJ is, I would expect Traylor to go for it on fourth down quite a bit. I would expect Traylor to be very aggressive, especially if Texas State gets off into an early lead, or even if UTSA does. I expect him to go for it on fourth more aggressively than you might expect. That may pay off, especially when one of the issues with this Texas State defense that we've seen in the past, if you go the last couple years, is stopping a team on third down. GJ Kinney said they spent the most time on third down as a defense than, he says, anyone in the nation. So that's nice. I'm hoping that stands up and that helps. But this defense needs to be ready for third down. This defense needs to be ready for fourth down. I would expect there's going to be a lot of play calling that factors in 4 downs, right? It's not going to be third down, got to have it. It's going to be third down, let's make fourth down easier. If I'm reading the situation with their kicker right. So past the 50-yard line, expect them to go for it on fourth. We need to be prepared for that. We need to make sure that this defense isn't gassed. Make sure that they're ready to go and in the game on third and fourth. Because a third and one stop's probably not going to be enough. You're gonna have to be a little bit more aggressive than that. And that kind of goes back to our first point of Robert Henry Jr. So I feel really confident in this game, despite everything that I just said. I feel like this is a very winnable game by Texas State. I believe in the Texas State offense way more than I believe in the UTSA offense. I actually think that UTSA could become more one-dimensional than Texas State. I haven't seen Owen McCown win a game with his arm, and I think that's what we have to do. We have to really sell out against the run. We did this against Arizona State last year. It didn't work out in our favor, but we held Cam Scatterbo to 60 yards, 2 TDs, but 60 yards on the ground. If we can do that this week against Robert Henry Jr., I think we're in a really good place to win. With that being said, with that word salad, the 3 keys are out. Let me know, what are your keys to victory? What are you looking forward to? Are you going to the game? Is it gonna be the most people at a football game in that stadium? Or I guess UTSA game. I don't know what the actual. Anyways, are we gonna sell the place out? There's gonna be more maroon than orange there. Let me know in the comments. Let me know your plans. Let me know your keys. Appreciate you watching. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to like this video, comment on this video. The comments help out way more than anything else, I'll tell you that. Kind of gets the ball rolling. If you comment, it's more likely that YouTube is going to send it out to other people, put it on their page to keep the conversation going. That means you too, birds. If you want to comment, it really helps me. So please do that. Be sure to like us on all the socials. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. Win Now or Get Bent, WNOGB is something like that. Be sure to like us on Twitter. Give us a rating on Apple. I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff here. Kev can let me know afterwards, but I think that's it. Appreciate you. We're going to be in San Antonio. If you see me, say what's up. And we will see you next week.